breakfast television does many things. We also want to help our own family members from time to time. And an unnamed BT colleague is having a problem. Would you like to help this unnamed colleague with this problem?
Always want to help our
Always,
colleagues.
right?
Yeah.
Free advice is the best
Love
advice.
doing that.
They're having a dilemma with the neighbor upstairs.
Okay.
So the neighbor upstairs is pouring water, and it's ending up on this colleague of ours' balcony. We have a picture of the unnamed colleague. We're not sure if it's a watering plant issue that's going awry, or if they're just jerks and pouring water down to the next balcony.
I know,
Take a
it's hard to
closer
see.
look. It's wet. You could see it.
It's wet, okay.
It's definitely wet.
Oh, like closer to the plants.
Yeah.
Okay, I see that now. All right.
So our unnamed colleague went upstairs and played Nicky Nicky Nine Door with the neighbor twice. Neighbor did not answer.
That was nice.
So then our unnamed colleague wrote a very polite note, and hopefully in the nick of time left it at the door. Didn't report it to manage. It's Nick Holland who this is.
I was gonna say, like, how
I'm
many-
trying to let the clues in.
Poor little Nikki.
So, all right, okay, Tammie, if you were our now named colleague, how do you handle this situation?
First of all, I have to acknowledge the waterfalls coming into the show, coming back from break.
Yes.
Thank you
DJ
for
Kim.
that, DJ Kim.
TLC,
Yeah, so I would do the exact same thing. I would knock on the door. I feel like a face-to-face confrontation sometimes, especially if the neighbor seems to be ignoring your note. A face-to-face confrontation sometimes just just makes more of an impact. An instant impact.
I disagree.
Oh, really?
Yes. I mean, I do agree with what you're saying
Yeah.
there, but I disagree with doing that in this situation. So as another person who lives in a condo, and I know you used to, and experienced probably some of the drama that happens
yeah.
in those close quarters, I feel like snitching a little bit works in this scenario. And I'll say why. So I had a noise complaint one night after a Raptors playoff win, which got me very upset, because it was a Raptors playoff win when they beat Milwaukee to move on. So this is during the championship run. And security comes up and he's like, Devo, you got to keep it down a little bit. I'm like, bro, it's not even 11 yet.
It's a Saturday night.
And it's Saturday night, and the Raptors just won. Like, the whole city is roaring. Let's just chill. But I'm going to be going out soon. Don't worry about it. But what that did was, I didn't know which neighbor. So now I kind of look at every neighbor. I'm like, okay, was it you? Was it you? But I also think about the noise that I'm making, because I'm like, is it the older person that lives here? Or is it the younger couple that might have to get up for work, or whatever it is? So I overthink that now, and that person lives rent-free in my head because of that. Now, and there's no awkward, interaction now.
No
Because if you see
face-to-face
that
was
person in
needed.
the elevator,
Yeah.
there's going to be awkward interactions.
Yes.
You know what? I'm bad that way. I want you to know.
But can you imagine if you're a BT viewer and all of a sudden, if you're a BT viewer and Tammie's there, we got to talk. That has an effect on me. If you're at my front door and you have some things you need to say. Yes. Meredith Shaw is getting ready for her first co-hosting shift next Monday here on BT. Meredith is once again in the shadows. Good morning, Meredith, as you were preparing for shift number one. Okay, Meredith, get in on this. How would you handle this if you were the unnamed colleague of ours, Nick Holland?
Well, an unnamed colleague who sits beside me. I have been the waterer.
Oh.
Yes, by accident.
Right.
I lived in a building once, and I was watering my plants and very innocently dumped a whole bunch of water on my neighbors below, and I think even the neighbors below that, because as we know, gravity. So I think I hit a few people on the way down, and I didn't realize it was happening, and then I got some yells up, and I felt so badly that then I grabbed 3 bottles of wine from my collection of many bottles of wine, and I
Meredith
went.
Estates.
Yes, exactly. And I went down to the floor below, and the floor below that, and the floor below that, and I just left bottles. So I say just gift bottles of wine, and it'll be fine. But no, I would go face to face. That's what bottle to bottle.
But you are aware, right?
Yeah.
So this person might not be aware. After the note, unnamed colleague, Lil Nicky, did they acknowledge your note? Have they acknowledged your note?
Just let me get a microphone.
He's grabbing a microphone right now.
He's busy.
What was your question?
Thanks for listening, first of all. Did the neighbor acknowledge your note?
No.
So
And I
there's
wrote
nothing.
it very nice. I say, I
Yeah.
kindly ask you to stop pouring your water, dumping your water. I got soaked. And then I said,
Oh,
if you want
dumping
to
the
come
water,
down
that's
and see
aggressive.
from my perspective, just come down to my unit and I'm happy to chat. Thank you for understanding. I was very nice about it.
But nothing.
Hold on, you challenged them to come down and say, let's talk
come
it
down,
out?
Let's talk.
That's a
Yeah,
little-
Look at the water. Look at the water. It went all the way down. It soaked the plants.
Well, the plants
which
need
we
that.
eat
Yeah,
those.
plants like that.
And then it went all the way onto the chairs.
Look, I do not agree with the face-to-face on this. The phrase snitches get stitches is real, but also sometimes snitches get fixes. And if you go to building management and just kind of let them know, because I don't want a face-to-face to be misrepresented, okay? That can often happen as well. I would like a third neutral party to be involved in this.
I did that.
And this, right? And it had an effect. It had an effect. So listen, there's no right or wrong way to deal with this, but I believe we figured out the right and the wrong way.
I snitched on my neighbor. I'm not gonna lie. I snitched on my neighbor.
See?
And here's why. New neighbors moved in right across from me, and they might watch. That's cool. Good morning. But I've said hi to them 4 times, and they've looked at me and never acknowledged my hello. Like legit, I come out the door and they're locking their door, and I'm like, oh hey, nothing. Look at
Really?
me and look away, and I'm like, oh. Okay, cool. But when you moved in and you banged something and it did damage to my door, you didn't want to say a word.
Yeah.
So then that's when I snitched. I was like, no, I gave you a chance to say hi a few times. But you're a little bit rude, it feels like.
Getting the good books first.
I don't
Yes.
know.
And they sound like CP24 fans.